What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Three Wide Podcast. And I have a question for you guys, real quick. What do you get when you combine a human being with a male genitalia and a horse? You get the Ferrari, man. He's back. He is
Oh,
back. What's going on, bro? How you been?
today's directed. Today's directed. It's been good. I've been good, mate. How are you doing?
It's been good. It's been good having you on the last two podcasts. You know, and definitely not leaving me out to die on my own. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I sent you an email, Mikey. I sent you an email.
Oh,
You didn't get the email, Mikey?
I'm fucking hell, man. But anyway, a decent amount of news swirling around the Formula One scene. Obviously, post 2022 season. Let's just get straight right into it. I know you're gonna probably want to talk about this the most, as you are indeed the Ferrari man. So Ferrari have sacked Mattia Binotto, although he kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I think he was like led to being like he kind of like left himself in a way. It's kind of like, oh, you didn't fire me, I quit. One of those things.
Yeah.
What do you think about that whole thing? Because I talked about it on the last podcast, but obviously you weren't there. So what do you think about it?
Well, I think I might not have been there, but I watched it though. I think he's a plank, you know. And
I don't know what a plank is,
to
Chef.
begin with, Plank is an idiot. And I mean, I was never a fan of him to begin with, but like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really like him. I don't really see him being as a team player. He didn't give me the team player aspect that we all needed. We needed like a leader, like a Christian Horner, Total Wolf type guy in there, even like a Gunther, you know. But all we got is this Binotto guy, and
the two people you named, Christian Horner and Total Wolf, aren't really team players. They kind of favor one driver, and I think that's kind of what Ferrari need, in a way. Because, I mean, you have two really, really good drivers, just like, you know, every other big team. But
I think we need like a real like what's it called? Like a real leader, you know?
Yeah, like
that's what I'm guessing.
Yeah, Total Wolf and Christian Horner are good examples of good leaders because they're hated when they're winning. So that means they're doing something right, and they're envied by their competitors. No one, I don't think, really feared Binotto as like a Christian Horner or a Total Wolf when Mercedes are dominating. And I think you need to be feared as to be considered a really good leader. And one of the scariest sights for me is seeing Charles Leclerc without Matteo Binotto and how good that could be for Charles Leclerc. After an abysmal 2022, just because of what kind of standards we held for him, and sometimes the driver error that he showed us, but I mean the strategy blunders that Ferrari had week in, week out, and also for Carlos Sainz, who I thought did an amazing job last year as well. A new leader, and hopefully what you're saying is a new strict leader who won't take this shit at Ferrari, will help both Sainz and Leclerc, but Leclerc with a strict leader might help him out tenfold.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, in the end, I just really want to see Ferrari at the top of the freaking line. But like, again, we need that really good. We need like what the hell is this guy? We need like the Jean Todt type dude, you know, like a Jean Todt, like what's it called, Ross Brawn type guy, like. I've been hearing that Ross Brawn's speculation to come back.
He's being floated. It's floating around, but I don't know if he's actually.
I know, but like he's already in his retirement.
I know.
Didn't he retire? If I'm not mistaken, or he's retiring or about to retire. But like, you know, I don't know if he's. Again, I'm not doubting him. If we have him, that's like, oh my god, that's like the next best thing. But like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think he's gonna want to come back to all this. And I wouldn't blame him because Ferrari right now is in a very mixed leadership type. They have the drivers, they have the car.
It feels like the only way up for Ferrari is up. I feel like because they had such a good car last year and the talent on display, I like all they needed is a level-headed and a strong-minded leader, and they could fix a lot of these problems and continue to further press the likes of Red Bull and Mercedes if they come back to what we expect them to come back to. But yeah, also you mentioned that Ferrari are like, it's kind of sad seeing Ferrari in like not the bottom, but not do as well as other competitors for quite a while now.
They're not at the bottom.
Yeah.
They're
not
like
Ferrari, not Ferrari
floating.
standard.
They're floating.
But their CEO
they're definitely
recently
not
came
big as
out.
good as I want them to.
Their CEO recently came out and said, "I'm sick and tired of not finishing first and like being second. Second is the first loser, and we need change." He's talking about Formula One. He's like, "We need change to get the prancing horses to where they're back to in the past." And I agree. Life is good with Ferrari. Or, you want to see competition throughout the Formula One grid, especially at the top. We see it a lot in the midfield, but in the top, we've seen Mercedes domination for years, and now this year, Red Bull absolutely dominated. So, to see hopefully Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, and hopefully McLaren all challenge, and maybe even Aston Martin, who've picked up pace over the last season for top spots, it'll be pretty interesting. So, that's about Ferrari. Now to go into Ferrari's street car competition and main rival, Lamborghini. They just added a new WEC, or World Endurance Champion driver, to their roster to race for them next season. That man being Mr. Romain Grosjean. I think he'll race in like Le Mans, 24 Hours at Daytona, things like that. I don't really know who's going to be accompanied by.
And IndyCar, not to mention.
Is he still going to do IndyCar as well?
I think he's still in IndyCar.
Huh.
Hold on, let me.
They might run in different times. I'm not too sure on like the IndyCar and WEC.
Yeah, he's gonna race in Lamborghini's LMDH GT
and
in 2023 and 2024. Yeah, I guess he's a little bit out of the IndyCar.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a little bit of news for Grosjean. But back to Formula 1. We've had the sprint race weekends, the 6 that there are, be announced, I think, a couple days ago, if not today. I saw them today, but I think they were announced a couple days ago.
Yeah.
You had the 3 from before, being Brazil, Austria, and Imola. And the 3 new ones added are Spa, Kota, and Qatar. What do you have to think about those before I put my words in?
Well, again, are they really any new ones that we have not seen? I think all of them.
Spa, Qatar, and Austria. I'm sorry, and Spa, Kota, and Qatar.
Oh, right. There was never a sprint race in Kota, but there was also a Did we have a sprint race in Qatar?
No, I don't think so.
Never?
No.
And what about Belgium?
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. It's no.
Never
the sprint races are Baku, Austria. No, there's no more Imola. It's Baku.
Oh, really?
Austria, Belgium, Qatar, USA, which is Kota, and Sao Paulo. No more Imola. So it's Azerbaijan.
Damn. I kind of like the sprint race in Imola, not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was. I think Imola
was nice.
I think for like shorter tracks, it's pretty cool. I'm not a. I think.
I don't know about a sprint race in Baku. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't really know about a sprint race in Spa, to be quite honest. What's gonna be 3 laps, 4 laps?
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna work out either.
I think it's the longest lap on the grid, right? One of the
longest track.
Was it gonna be 4 or 5 laps?
10 probably.
I don't know. I mean
10 probably, but that's still like. I don't know how smart of a decision that was to put on Spa. I would put it in maybe, where in.
I'd see a Jeddah sprint. I would watch a Jeddah sprint.
Yeah, but that's also a pretty long one too.
But it's more like fast paced. I feel like. It's a lot more technical. But anyway.
Yeah, but
I think 6 sprint race in general is just a bit crazy. I don't think they needed 6. The
I
one
don't know. That's just more racing. It's just more racing, so it's even better.
that's true. That is
And more
true.
champs to go out. Not champs, more points to go out. So I
I
think that's gonna
also
be
like it because it's also more
quite
variation.
beneficial.
It's also like
Mhm.
more variation. You'll see you'll see like we saw in Brazil, K-Mag finish on pole. You don't know if that's gonna happen
Mhm.
again. You know what I mean? You could see like a Lewis Hamilton
Maybe it
or Max
might.
Verstappen crash out in the sprint race, and now put them at the back of the grid. So I do like the sprint races. I think 6 might be a little bit OD in a way because like
Nah. I think six are pretty cool because then you're gonna have more. You're gonna have more. What's it called? More racing. Like
uh,
motor racing.
I don't
But
know. I would have put them in other places
I
though.
the only thing I'm really questioning is where they put the sprint races in because the I don't think Baku was a smart choice.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That's the only
talking
one I'm
about.
really
I'm not talking.
skeptical
Yeah,
about. I would have kept it as Imola. I would have kept it at Imola and kept the rest.
or I would have just
Because the
taken
rest
out.
aren't actually
I would
not
have just
bad.
taken out Baku and make it 5. I think 5's a fair amount. 5 sprint races. That'd be pretty. Maybe you could
Hmm.
throw in something like whoever's done well. Like if you combine all the sprint races, whoever has the most points over them gets an extra world championship point. That'd be pretty cool. But
Mm.
there's been a couple of really shaky sprint races, but Brazil, I think just Brazil in general is always a good race. So that
Brazil's
sprint race,
always a good race.
that sprint race is kind of like, an anomaly in a way that like we're always gonna get good racing because it's Brazil. Hopefully, I didn't just
Yeah.
jinx the 2023 Brazil Grand Prix, but no, I think sprint races are a good idea, but I think keep them as small as possible, just so it's like a surprise element. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be almost
Yeah.
1 in 3 races as a sprint. I think keep it 5 at most 6 and don't look to increase it. But it's gonna be really interesting. Coda, I like
Yeah.
the Coda sprint race. I think that's a pretty cool one. Texas, I kind of like that. We saw a pretty good Circuit of the Americas race this past week. This past year, where we saw Alonso versus Stroll.
Alonso.
We saw Charles versus Max. We saw Max versus Lewis. Even Charles had a nice overtake on Perez. There's going to be a lot of hopefully continued good racing at Kota. And I think the FIA understood that from this year. And I think they were smart in inserting a sprint race in Kota. And I think I know why they put the sprint race in these places. I think Kota is a good one because we like to see racing where weather could impact it, right? Like qualifying where there could be a wet session. There's never going to be a wet session in Texas. So qualifying is going to be rather consistent, right? So why not let them
Yeah.
race for position for the starting grid? I think that's a good idea. I think that's also. I mean, it rains in Azerbaijan, but I think it's a good idea for Kosa because it's just going to be completely sunny all the time. Like there's no threat of rain ever. Same in Qatar, I feel like as well. So I think it's a good idea to add some sprint races. I know it was kind of controversial earlier on when it was announced that the FIA were looking to extend the sprint race count, but I think it's a good idea. I think cap it at 6. I think, me personally speaking, 6 might be a little bit too much, but I still like it more than like 9 or 10. You know what I mean? Like so.
Yeah, but the thing is, I kind of like 6. I feel like is a very fair number because it's not too much, I think, and it's not too little because again, the sprint races still give valuable points. So I think that with the with the sprints being so many that there are going into 2023 season, there's going to be definitely opportunities for points to be handed out, assuming that somebody's going to get them. But I really think that the sprint's definitely going to be helping out the drivers. And then again, if you think about it, that weekend that we have the sprint and the race, it's like you're watching 2 races in the weekend. Like the whole weekend, you're gonna have 2 races to watch: the sprint and the actual race. So that's gonna be pretty
Also,
entertaining
what's
to watch.
good for us and bad for the teams is that there's going to be more of a reliability concern over like components because you're going to be pushing twice as hard now for like those weekends because qualifying it's like what two good runs here and there, two runs in Q3. If you're fast, one run or two runs in Q2. So you're not really running the car as to its full potential. But in a sprint race, if you want to finish well, you're gonna have to push. So
Yeah.
what's good about us is like
I
I
think
said,
that's gonna.
more racing. But to the team's perspective, it's gonna be more of a fight and a struggle to, keep the engine component and penalties that stem from that to a lower value. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think you have an interesting point there. I definitely agree with that, but I think that we're really going to be pushing to see which team genuinely has their reliability in check. Because that way, what's it called? We're going to genuinely see who can really survive this, I guess, massacre of reliability now. And it's going to be one hell of a weekend. Because I think this is definitely going to be something new. Formula One's never had so many sprint races. It's going to be very interesting to see how the teams react, how the drivers react.
Yeah, I think Formula One is becoming a lot more entertaining, and I think due to the success over Drive to Survive, which by the way, there's around only 3 months left until that shit comes out, so I can't wait. But I think they're starting to realize how much attention it's been getting, and I think that is one of its top priorities right now. So they're probably thinking, how can we increase and ensure that this attention isn't only a short term, more sprint racing, like you said, more racing, more strategic battles between teams that people like, more beef and drama in the documentary when it comes out. When a crash happens in a sprint race and it ruins a championship contender, a championship contender Sunday. These are all things that could help grow the sport in and attention and quality values as well. So I think it's a good idea for brand exposure and to really get to continue developing as a high revenue earning sport, because I'm wearing a Formula One shirt right now. These shirts ain't cheap. Formula One tickets aren't cheap either. And it's growing ever so much. Like, it's one of the fastest growing sports in the world right now. A lot down due to the Netflix documentary and just how much people are getting into it. So, yeah, you bring up a good point about the sprint racing, and I think it's a really, really good idea to test the teams more and how make them more on their feet, not just like, qualifying Saturday, blah 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 blah. They're gonna have to show, can you push the car, for 3 more weekends than usual, and can you reliably do that as well? So it'll be a much more entertaining season, hopefully. But what will suck if there's one team dominating, and then every single sprint weekend you're just gonna see that one car drive off, and it's gonna be a mess. So if Formula One is what I expect it to be next year, it'll be really, really cool, these sprint races. And the last thing I want to talk about, if you want to talk about anything else yourself, is Yuki and Helmut Marko had a little bit of a back and forth recently. So Helmut Marko came out recently and said, I think he was asked a question about who should lead the AlphaTauri team, something like that. And he basically responded saying, Yuki's a little bit too young, inexperienced. Nick is an older rookie. Even though he's a rookie, he's like, 27, 26 years old, and has like a good experience in a Formula One car after scoring points in his debut. So he said like Nick DeVries should probably be the leader of AlphaTauri. And Yuki basically clapped back and said, hold on, the fastest driver will be the leader of this team. And I just want to get your thoughts on that statement from Yuki, because we definitely know Yuki to be a very fierce competitor and a very hot-tempered driver, maybe we could say. And I think this is definitely strategical and very mind games play from Yuki Tsunoda.
I mean, I think that was a very bold statement from Helmut Marko, considering that Nick DeVries only had technically one real race in Formula One, and I understand that. I mean, it's amazing that he finished P8 in a Williams of all cars, but Yuki's been in that seat since 2021, I think, right?
Yeah.
2022? No, 2021, right?
Yeah. 2021. Yeah.
So even that 1 year of experience, well, 2021, 2022, that's 2 years of experience.
Who was in AlphaTauri 2020? Was that Albon?
Kvyat.
Kvyat was in 2020? Feels like a while ago.
Yeah, Kvyat was in 2020. Shit. I know. That's crazy. Kvyat and I think Gasly.
Yeah, because he won.
Yeah. So I think that honestly, I agree with Yuki. I mean, the fastest driver should be the one leading the team. If you can extract the most out of your car, if you can push the performance in your car, I think you should be leading the team, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But to come out so boldly and say that Yuki's not going to be on leading the team is going to be like, I don't know. Because what if Nick comes and he's not as good as we expected him to be?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, you know, because that could happen. We've seen it happen. The newcomers coming in and crapping up their seat. Although we're not going to expect that from Nick, but that's still a possibility that it could occur. We can't keep our hopes too high. Same thing with Piastri. Even though everybody says he's a legend, I mean, he probably is a legend, but we can never be too sure until they get in that seat and they drive that first race. You know?
Yeah.
Because then we'll know for sure. Yes, yes, no, no. But, like, honestly, I do think that... I think Nick's going to do good, and I think Yuki's going to do good. But I think that because of Yuki's 2 years already in Formula 1 driving full time, I think he has definitely the edge over Nick de Vries in terms of that. Nick de Vries obviously having more achievements than Yuki, but still, I think that I agree with Yuki. No, I agree. Fastest driver should be the one leading the team.
You bring up good points.
I'd say like.
Go on.
I'd say like 3 races in, they could probably see who's going to be leading the team. 3 races in, I think.
You bring up good points, and I want to come back to that Piastri point you make, but to touch on Yuki first, I agree with your take about De Vries, and I think he might, because he did show in the Williams how good he was, and that, you know, his F2 win, his double Formula E wins aren't flukes. Like, he's actually a good driver. I think I said this before. I think this is a make or break year for Yuki. I think if he fails to show a more consistent pace and performances, he'll be out of his seat. He's young. We've seen how quick they were, Haas were with Mick. Red Bull have so much talent coming up their academy. The likes of Liam Lawson, even Dan Ticktum, I think, is still in the works somehow, some way. Yuri Vips is still in the works. Drogovic as well, who could potentially sign. There's a lot of talent, even without academies. Robert Schwartzman, you know, Theo Porcher.
I really want to see in a seat.
There's a lot of talent in the Formula One youth market, and I know AlphaTauri being basically owned by Red Bull won't want to be wasting of that potential time developing talent. And if they feel Yuki isn't doing well for a 3rd straight year, they'll be quick to pull a plug. And we've seen, I know it's a funny video, everyone saying that they want to win World Drivers' Championship, and Yuki's like, oh, I want to open up a restaurant. Is he really that serious about Formula 1? We don't know. Even if you guys watch the Drive to Survive season, although, yes, they do dramatize about everything, Yuki was asked to, train, to get more in shape, and he was so against it. He said he hates training so much, and, he tried to get out of it so much. So is he really serious about it? I think we're going to find out this year. And I think this is the make or break year for Yuki. And if he doesn't show consistent pace, I think Red Bull will not hesitate to put a younger, more potential showing driver than Yuki. You agree with that?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think that, the talent they always have, but talent they have, but the drivers, but again, it really just does matter once they get into the seat. then we'll
But
really see
Yuki,
who's got
if he doesn't perform this
Yuki's
year,
Yuki has good moments,
but they don't
he's
want
not
moments.
consistent.
There are more people deserving of him right now, who's been
Yeah.
consistent in Formula 2 and other race series. I'm pretty sure Colton Herta was about to go to AlphaTauri if it wasn't for him not getting the amount of points
Yeah.
needed. You know what I mean? So his seat is definitely on a bit of thin ice because this is going to be his third year, and like you said, he's had good moments. Can he mold those moments into a more consistent drive throughout the year? I think it's his third year. He should be. I'm not saying be super consistent and finish near the points every race, but improve on it. Don't He's had a couple of fuck ups, both down to him and down to his team / the car. Can he put those behind him and mold his moments into a more consistent drive? Is my question.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I agree for sure. I think that genuinely, what's it called? I mean, it all comes down to how, I guess, how his next season goes. But then again, I don't want to put all the blame on Yuki. AlphaTauri is kind of shit. It's really shit.
Yeah. No, he did pretty well last season. I feel like he showed a lot more.
Considering that the car is shit, and what's stupid is that Red Bull and AlphaTauri are sister teams. Wouldn't you want both of your teams to be on the top step?
Well, they don't fund AlphaTauri. They're not responsible for
their
budget.
But still, it is a sister team. Take care of it a bit,
You can't do that. It's their own budget. You can't just pay for their parts and shit. Every team's got their own salary cap.
Well, whoever's running the fucking AlphaTauri, that freaking clown. He was the same clown that recommended all the drivers shut up and take the $10 million paycheck and enjoy racing the cars. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? Franz Toss.
Right, yeah.
More like French toast. Freaking French toast out here, not delivering on his end of rating the cars.
Yeah.
But then again, this French toast.
But I want to go back to your point about Piastri.
As long as he gets paid, he don't give a flipper.
I want to go back to your point on Piastri though, because I think you bring up a good point about him, being so well renowned before his Formula 1 debut, right? I mean, this is a man who's won Formula 2 and Formula 3, and yes, is dubbed as one of the best British talents or best bright young talents in racing right now, and he definitely deserves that. But like you said, everything is cap until you get into the car, basically, right? We don't know how good you are until you start driving. Now, I believe there's a lot of pressure on Mr. Oscar Piastri because he dipped Alpine. He said, fuck you guys. A car that was better than the car he ends up signing for when you put in 2022 standards. I expect the McLaren to be really, really good this upcoming season and the Alpine to drop off a little bit. But as things were currently going when Piastri made the decision, Alpine were quicker than McLaren. And he was basically 99% an Alpine driver when Fernando left. And then he was like, no, I am not signed with you. I have signed with McLaren. Him doing that, him calling his own shots before he's even touched a Formula 1 steering wheel is a telltale sign of this guy's talent. Now, we're going to find out about his talent in a Formula 1 car because talent and talent within a Formula 1 car are two completely different things. Daniel Ricciardo, for example, is a very, very talented driver. However, he could not figure out that McLaren to save his life. Let's just be real. His teammate, however, Lando Norris, although in a shite car, put himself P7 overall on the driver standings and got podium in Imola, got a couple P4s, couple P5s, P6s, and P7s. Consistently outperformed the fuck out of Daniel Ricciardo. Now, it's Piastri's turn. Will he sink like Ricciardo did? And yes, this is all still regarding that the car McLaren gave to Ricciardo and Norris were shit. However, will Piastri form more of a fight to Norris than Ricciardo? Because I believe there's a lot more pressure on Piastri coming into Formula One than any other rookie that I know of recently.
Yeah, no, I think definitely. I mean, in the end, it all comes down to Bahrain. We'll see what we get, you know. And then again, Bahrain's a nice race because it starts off in the beginning, but at the same time, I can't say it's a solid indicator because the return of Haas in Bahrain was something magical. But then we saw them immediately drop down.
Well,
But then they came
that's
back
just
up
because
in what,
they didn't really
Austria?
that's because they didn't really continuously upgrade the car. I think Brian's a good
Yeah, which is stupid because
indicator
they
of
should
where
have.
you are. But again, where you are at one race doesn't mean you're going to be there in the race after. You don't know what cars are going
Yeah,
to bring upgrades. You don't know what Red Bull are going to figure out. Be like, oh my God, we could lose 3 tenths a lap if we do this. You know what I mean? Like, who
yeah.
knows, man?
They say that now, and then they're gonna come out even better. So
Like we
they're
thought
they're they're those
in
type of.
testing, Mercedes always like to play off their like they were never like really good in testing. So when they would say like they're struggling, we'd be like, oh okay, and they dominate. They were struggling in testing, and then they ended up struggling the whole season. So you never know what could happen in Formula One. Even with Red Bull, Red Bull were very very fast the first couple races, DNF'd, and then got their shit together. But we knew they were fast. You know, it's a good indicator of where you are, but can you stay there is the question. And that's both team, manufacturer, and driver responsible as well. So, I mean, it's going to be a good season. A lot of expectations going around Formula One. You have the hopefully revamped Ferrari team, as well as a revamped McLaren team with
Hopefully.
a superstar young driver lineup and in hopes a really good car. You have the hopefully the return of the king, Mercedes, wanting to go back to their throne. And then you have Red Bull wanting to defend the throne with newcomers like Aston Martin, who picked up the pace a lot in 2022 towards the end of the year, looking to make a challenge, as well as Alpine. So, there's as well as Alpine. So, I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of, I think, conspiracies going into Formula One. I think there's going to be a lot of predictions that we're going to have to make because it's a highly anticipated season due to all these storylines, I believe, going on. And, yeah. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap up?
Stick around. That's about it.
Anyways,
Just
guys,
stick around and watch out.
I hope you guys are as ready for the F1 2023 season as we are, even though we're barely 2 weeks without Formula One. So we're going to be keeping you up to date
Getting hard.
on every
Getting
bit
hard.
on every bit of news that come out of Formula One, as well as we're going to try and tap into other racing leagues like the WEC, for example, and do some more fun videos like some more hot takes videos and even some tier list videos coming up soon. So with that being said, take care and peace, everybody.